Hello. Welcome to another installment of the Central American Group's podcast, in which experts discuss topics related to doing business in Costa Rica, El Salvador, and the rest of the region.
Hello, welcome to another installation of the podcast that the Central American Group does. The purpose of these recordings is to have conversations with people that have various expertise in doing business in Central America. Today, we have with us Federico Rivera, and Federico is the head of an organization that has to do with the medical device cluster in Costa Rica, but I'll let Federico introduce himself and tell us about his organization. Hello, Federico. How are you today?
I'm doing just great, Steve, and happy to be here. And hello to all the persons listening to your interesting podcasts.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization?
Yes. No, well, I'm going to go a little bit back, but my professional life started as an electrical engineer, started in Costa Rica, and life took me through various jobs until I did 10 years of semiconductor life with Intel here down in Costa Rica. But that was in itself a big learning, not only for me, but many professionals that came about and were able to work for these huge company, worldwide presence. And that opened up a lot of possibilities, not only for me as a professional, but for the country. But then on the side, medical devices was picking up. And some of that, again, because of the high capabilities from a technical standpoint of the country. So that in itself fueled up to be right now the biggest exporting sector of the country. The medical device sector represents about 36% of the exports. And that's where I am right now. I've been working with various medical device companies over the last few years. And it's an amazing. So my career, although technical in background, has grown through different individual contributor roles up to top management positions in various of those companies.
Well, that's interesting. Just a little background on the medical device industry in Costa Rica. After Mexico, Costa Rica is the largest exporter of medical devices in Latin America. And that being the case, what kind of companies make up the medical device cluster in Costa Rica?
Well, the medical device sector is composed all the way from huge or very large and say leaders in their business medical device companies. We have brands like Boston Scientific, Abbott, Hologic. We have Edwards Life Sciences and many others that are top are in here. But also a huge base nowadays of suppliers, which are companies that may do parts or subcomponents or processes or transformations to some of the materials to supply these companies. So the sector has grown tremendously and is composed right now of over 90 companies of those types.
You know, you've got quite a number of big names, and you've just mentioned that a supplier base is developing in Costa Rica. Like any other place, I would assume there's gaps in the supplier base. What kind of companies aren't there that you would like to see there as suppliers?
I think more and more that gap is being closed. There's a big drive in the country for making local supply of many of the components or services that the sector is demanding. So over time, what has happened is that most of these big companies come with a process that was already established in a different location. And that means that also the supplier base was from outside. But over time, various of the companies using the same suppliers resulted in those suppliers looking for nesting here down in Costa Rica. But not also that, but the country in itself, its local industry has picked up the pace and has started to do programs and fuel up being able to do chains of supply internally, not from companies that come or came with these other, big manufacturers, but as local people or local industries, say, for example, plastics or precision machining that were already present here. It just now serving and catering for the medical device cluster and with the standards and quality requirements that a regulated industry needs.
Now, for those areas where you're still looking to get additional suppliers in, and preferably domestic suppliers to help the local economy, what's needed to motivate entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs?
Well, that's a great question, because as we all want these to grow more and more, because we feel definitely first it's a very socially responsible sector. And, most companies that come have very social, environmental, and governance-oriented projects and philosophy overall from corporate organizations that are mature. So people get the right compensation, people get the right service, people are promoted, people get incentives to grow. So what is missing, though, is the ability of help entrepreneurs or spin-offs to be successful. And I specifically talk about governance from the central government to enable these startups to have access to venture capital or angel funds that will help them out during the earlier years of startups to become strong enough to be sustainable and economically feasible. Knowledge is here. We have a great knowledge from professionals in all the fields. But of course, all that is STEM related, technical side is very, very strong, but also on the administrative or financial services and such, we have a great base also happening there. So that portion is there. The human capability is there. It's more the business side that needs to mature a little more. And the government right now is centered around that precisely.
When talking to people that have an interest in Costa Rica, one of the things that we at the Central American Group do is communicate to those individuals that the workforce in Costa Rica is formidable in terms of education and training. Can you comment a little bit on the workforce that you've encountered in your activities in your country? Sure.
I'm going to start with the first layer, which is, the more manual type of work, and we have industries that are fully automated, robotics and what have you not, optic systems for inspection, etc., all the way to very manual assembly. Very, very demanding on the ability itself of the person, the craftsmanship of the person. So it's a huge array of needs, but basically people do like the fact that the companies back up their professional work with possibilities of development for themselves. So it's an opportunity for them to have a stable job with good benefits and being in a right environment, but also the possibility to grow further. So that's, say, the entry level, the operator level have that, and they are very committed to work. Now, the next level, let's call it the administrative level, and middle management and all that layer, is composed of very strong professional base of different trades. Many of them from the, as I was saying before, the technical side, but many of them also from the administrative side, logistics, supply chain management, EH&S, human resources, of course, you name it. So it's all over. And that group also benefits from the fact that incentives helping them grow are there. Most of the companies, or all of them, I cannot say one that doesn't have that as part of their compensation package, has that as part of the integration, because they do see workers as a very important means of getting good results. So that is in for them. And then you get the third layer, which is top management. We call it the business leaders, senior executive leaders, directors, VPs, etc., whatever the other organization set up, and they basically get exposed to a worldwide management or worldwide interaction with other plans, depending on the company, of course. But then that they get an exposure. And their leadership is really tested in a worldwide environment. So I think all three levels definitely have their challenges to afford or to look forward, but also have their benefits. So I think it works really fine.
Okay. As far as the organization that you lead that represents the medical device cluster, what are some of the things that the organization has achieved thus far?
Well, first of all, we have gone through a 2-year journey, coming to our 3rd year now, in grouping the medical device sector actors. So we started off as a small group of companies at the time that wanted definitely to create synergy from a sector in a country standpoint, meaning many of the companies that are here are definitely competing against the market in outside the border. But in here, we need the same services, be those from infrastructure from the government, laws, educational focus from universities or technical schools, you name it. All the fields are common ground. So through the help of our investing promoting agency, CINDE, which has done a great job for us and for the sector over the last 10, 15 years. The group was created, and we have been able to establish in a force that is picking up more and more advocates every single day. That then precisely synergizes on creating the right environment for this sector to grow, including what we were talking about before, the entrepreneurs and bringing also the fund providers to the table to talk and then create a holistic sector of medical devices within Costa Rica.
I know that you have events and other plans in the future. Can you name them for us? Give us a chance to know what kind of initiatives you're involved in.
Yes, sure. So, as a sector, as the medical device cluster, we are seeking precisely the growth of the country. We go in not thinking of what's in for me as a company, but what's in for us as a country, as a sector within the country. We realize that although we are the biggest exporter in the country right now, we hit $5.2 billion last year, and this year is going to be even higher. So although that is growing, we definitely want that to continue, but not only to continue as the manufacturing sector of medical devices, but of an entity that can definitely incentivize and create a system necessary for research and development within country. Costa Rica's health system has a good name, a great name, not only within Latin America, but worldwide. It's positioned in number 33. So we have a great base and knowledge from a practicing of medicine standpoint. What we now have is the ability to turn that into a foundry and an opportunity for development also of life sciences within Costa Rica with the knowledge that we already have and with the industry base that we already have.
Well, that's extremely interesting. It's exciting to see how the Costa Rican medical device cluster has grown in a relatively short amount of time. One of the things that we experience when we produce and publish these podcasts is that listeners come back to us with questions, and to be able to handle those questions in the best possible way, we like to create an environment in which they can contact the interviewees that we have so that they can go directly to the source of information. So if somebody wants to get and ask a question to you directly about the Costa Rican medical device cluster, how can they contact you, Federico?
Sure. We as an organization, we have set up some initial systems. Our communication platform is in the process of being modified. So I will definitely like to share that to you when it is up and running. But for now, I am available as a point of contact. My email is Federico, that'll be Federicor at unomed.com, which is UNNOMED.com. So they can write me up. I have no problem, catering all questions and inquiries that listeners may have to, talk further or explore opportunities. But when we have this new communication platform up and running, which is in a few weeks, I will share that to you so that it can also be shared with your listeners.
And another thing we'll do, with your permission, of course, is in the transcript that's going to be below the audio box that plays the podcast, we can put a link to your LinkedIn profile. Would that be okay?
That'll be just fine. Absolutely. Happy to help anyone that, needs our support and anything related. Absolutely.
Well, thanks a lot for joining me today, and we really appreciate you taking the time to tell us about the exciting things that are happening in the Costa Rican medical device cluster.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here and sharing in a few minutes our history and our path forward. And happy to, be here any other time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. Sign up to receive the Central American Group's quarterly newsletter by visiting www.thecentralamericangroup.com.